Hello guys, this is Fred from Metal Ops TV on YouTube and metal-OBS.com in France. And we go to the Netherlands and America. It's a great honor to have a Quadvium band, two awesome bass players. I follow them since many years. So could you introduce yourself, please, one by one? Maybe European first, because I'm European.
Who's going first?
You, Jeroen.
All right.
What's your name and what do you do? And sum up your career.
Yeah, my name is Jeroen Paul Thesseling from Quadvium. I play bass guitar since quite a while, since I think since my 15th or 16th year, and I've been during my career, I've been studying music. I've been going through several styles of music, like so many different projects. But funny enough, what I really like is to add all these ingredients to metal music, and so that's where it started growing. And yeah, at some point, exclusively fretless.
Yeah, it's a specific, yeah, special. Okay, and that means that in the past you not specially played only metal music. In the past, when you start, you don't. In the past, you didn't play sometimes metal music, other kind of music, jazz or rock.
I've been in very different projects. I have a classical background, playing violin since 6, 7.
I don't know. Okay.
So I've been playing Baroque music, and I've been playing in ensembles and string quartets and like string orchestras. But during my teenage years, I switched to bass guitar.
Okay.
And from then, I've been playing a lot of metal.
Obscura.
But also went into world music and jazz.
Okay.
And basically that became like a sort of a mixture. Like you were influenced by some players, by some music, and but I still kept, I always stayed loyal to my metal roots. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jeroen. And now, not last but not least, the king of bass in America. So legendary guy. So could you introduce yourself, please, Steve, and sum up your curriculum vitae?
Hello, my name is Steve. I'm just learning to play bass, and when I grow up, I want to be Jeroen Paul Thesseling.
And yeah, you play in Death. I remember in Control Denied, last stuff of Death, Obscura. The common point, you play both in Obscura, maybe live in 2010, if I'm right.
Yeah, but we only share that common point because he forced me to by threats. He says I can't go to Japan, and if you don't do it, the band will die.
Okay.
Yeah, I filled in for Jeroen for one very, very small tour with the Obscura guys, and I learned my lesson not to ever do that again. But yeah, I mean, I've been playing bass for a very long time, many different styles, many albums that you have on your shelf. But right now the focus is on my favorite album with this fretless brother of mine. We were able to combine two bass guitars playing some intricate yet some beautiful music, and we are here to promote that.
Yeah.
And we're quite proud of the songs. They sound very nice. Have you heard the album for yourself?
Of course. And I want to discover the first track, the first single, and after the second single, you have a name very complicated. So the album is called Tetradom, and first we discover Nastrom song, and after Apophis, if I'm right.
You're right.
And yes, it was awesome, and it's only an instrumental album. It's the first album of Quadvium. It's called Nastrom and Tetradom, and there are 7 tracks, but only instrumental. So it was a goal to play to put forward your instruments, you and a guitarist and a drummer, and that's all. No singer.
Yeah, I think it was planned from the beginning to be instrumental. Although I do have a demo copy of myself singing opera style on it, but Jeroen won't let me do it, so we're gonna stay instrumental.
It was too bad the one vocal, so you say, okay, no vocal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what. That's the first question. In general, in metal music, bass is a bit less forward than the rest of the instrument, and it depends exactly of the style. But bass in the mix, final mix, bass is not on. It's just and it's not there is not the instrument is not forward like the guitar on the vocals. So you wanted to put your own instrument in a big space and to express with a duet, Jeroen. It was a goal.
Well, I'm not saying it depends. I mean, I guess you're talking about referring to most of the metal music, where bass guitar is treated different in a mix, and obviously also there's enough reasons why you cannot, like the way we put bass now in the mix that would not work. But yeah, if you listen to jazz fusion, flamenco bass, there is often albums where bass is very, very, like it represents really the album. So I think this is something that grew by the time that Steve and I, we came up with this idea being from a friendship from many, many years back.
Okay.
We thought like, how amazing would it be if we, as friends, if we could just build a group around our bass guitars, our playing. And so we have been taking a lot of time for that, to work out that idea and also to find the right people.
Yeah.
But it's what you said, what you asked, actually, it was the intention was just to build something around both basses, not necessarily to have them extremely loud in a mix, but they are kind of they're leading the album in melodies and like all kinds of it's like more like an interaction between both basses. Yeah.
Okay. And do you consider Quadvium like a full-time band or just a side project because you play in so many bands and especially Steve? How do you consider it's just a studio side project, or it will be live and it will full-time band?
For now, we haven't really fully qualified what the band is because it was such a hard road to just complete the songs. Most of us are in many projects or very busy projects, so this is obviously kind of, at least in the starting phase, it's our side project because we took everything we had just to make it a real thing. We'll see how it goes, and if new music comes out and if everybody has time to get together to do something live or put more time into it. But for now, it was just such a goal to realize the album and get it out to the world. But it feels like a full-time job around this release because me and Jeroen have been quite full with promotion, and and we hope that it can really spread out as far as it can and hit as many ears as it can, because it's quite a unique project, and we're really excited for people to hear the music. So we appreciate your interest in spreading the word, so to say.
Okay, Steve, you play also on this album. You play also on fretless bass, like Jeroen?
Yeah, we both do. The entire album is predominantly this multi-string fretless duet that we do. I was almost going to bring my 6-string for some of the ease of positioning, but the sound of my new signature 5-string just was the perfect blend to go with Jeroen's big giant Warwick 17-stringer. So but we're definitely focusing and also exemplifying the fretless nature of the bass and taking that dangerous leap of combining these two very semitonal instruments to harmonize together. So that's part of the reason we're proud of this project, is we actually pulled it off.
And only finger pickings, no pickup, no picks, only fingers picking.
Jeroen is predominantly finger. Once in a while I use farm equipment on my bass to make it sound better, but when I'm not driving the tractor on the strings, I just use my fingers as well.
Okay, I just introduced the two other members, Eve, guitarist, and you Van Ekelen, drums, if I'm right.
Yes.
Eve, it's a young guitarist, a female guitarist, if I'm right, and sound designer. Also.
Yeah, she's from California. She studied in Boston at Berkeley, and
okay. Okay.
Yeah, we have been very, very lucky with these both guys, because I think it's very important to mention that without those those group members, we would have, the end result would have been very, very different. We really, obviously Steve and I, and I probably also speak for Yuma, for the drummer. We don't consider ourselves as main composers. So we had ideas and we recorded rough drafts just to explain each other what we wanted, what kind of, from what kind of angle we see the music, and we had to come up with these rough sketches in the first place. But what we really needed was someone who said like, okay, I see what you want. I can visualize how you want these basses in how you want them in the music. Let me work on some material. And so we were lucky to get in touch with Eve, and she helped us big time, mainly composing the album.
Yeah, she produced the album, and Yuma co-produced the album Tetradom, in fact.
Yes.
Okay. This album was mastered by Derek Blackburn at Quiet Recording Studio. But I wanted to know, when you are in Europe, in the Netherlands, I guess. You live in, and Steve in America, so maybe in Florida, or I don't remember, in California, whatever. But how did you work on this album? How did you work on this album in distance, by computers, by Zoom meeting, demo, etc., and sending demos? Or you rehearse together, one travel and you rehearse in the same?
No, you said it exactly. When we first were discussing ideas, it was through just like a WhatsApp group or something like that, and then we moved over to the Zoom app. And Yuma and Eve are both studio whizzes, and that's why the production mainly rested in their hands. And they were able to combine our Zoom meeting with the studio, so we could sit there and watch each other and look at a screen of the Pro Tools session. And if we liked a certain part particularly more, we could say, hey, go back to like, bar 75, and the section, this verse section, maybe we could repeat it or play it later in the song. So we used this technology to construct everything virtually, because I'm up in Northern California, Eve is in Southern California, and then the other two guys are on opposite sides of the Netherlands. So it was the only way to do it. But once we went into the real recording phase, when Yuma handed us the final studio drums, I felt it was really, really important to have the two bass players be physically together, so that the essence of the basses being together in the music was totally, authentic. So I went ahead and flew out to Amsterdam and stayed there for a few weeks at Jeroen's place, and we just worked long hours, but we sat side by side, and we played bass together, and Jeroen spent a lot of time organizing the two bass tracks and how they interact. And and we did it like this. And since Eve had constructed the early versions of the song in his studio system, it made sense to do the final step there too, because there was no one more familiar with the many tracks that are in each song. So even though Eve is very young and very new to this, it doesn't mean anything to the talent level, because this computer brain just turned on and managed all these tracks and got these great tones and made the mix that you hear.
And for example, you couldn't make this kind of album, this kind of recording 30 years ago. It may be with the pandemic and new technologies. It's all is possible with distance like that and on internet nowadays.
Well, it needed its time. It has been a natural process. We had this idea for a long time, but we went through a lot of stages with it. Even before working out rough ideas with Yuma, Steve and I have been brainstorming about this, like how are these basses going to interact? We were sure we didn't want to have like a rhythm bass and a lead bass or something. We were sure it would be just like an equal thing.
Yeah.
And so we have been discussing these things like many years ago. If I look back now, okay, we took a lot of time for it, but I'm happy with that because it was a natural process.
Yeah,
and if you look back at it, it grew in a really cool way. Well, also having the four of us really our signature playing coming strongly, you know, like it was not like an overrushed thing.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big luck. Yeah.
And do you it's hard to I like the whole album Tetradom, and there are 7 tracks. It's not easy to prefer one track or another, but I like the combination you have bass. You are questioning and so one bass player question and after the other one answer, and but it's a fusion. It's not easy like in vocals. For example, in gothic metal, the beast with vocals, and after the female vocals with clean vocals. It's a bit like that. You are provoking the other one, and after the other one answer you, but all it's very fluid. I don't know if you understand the word. You wanted this jams. It's very natural, very fluid to listen. It's very it's a pleasure, in fact, to listen.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Steve, can you add something to that? Or
yeah, I mean, you really nailed it because even like you pointed out where vocalists do duets, there's clear phrases and maybe an entire verse that one vocalist should do until the other one answers. This bass integration is really something special because when you single out a bass line in a normal song, you have this linear music phrase going on, but what me and Jeroen are doing with the two basses is splitting a bass line sometimes. So if you only listen to one person's part, it might be a little confusing because the entire phrase doesn't exist. We rely on each other to fill in the gap. So the question and answering is happening very fast, but it's also an integration of harmony sometimes. So there's times where we split the line and we take turns, and there's times where we play together. And when we're playing together, we can play within the same octave, or we can spread the range really far. And this type of change up of integration is happening in real time within bars. So there's no real hard formula like, where I play a line, he answers it. It's happening all the time, like constantly, and it makes it very difficult to memorize for each of us what to play because neither one has a complete phrase. We rely on each other to put the basses together to make the complete phase. And when you hear it when it's finished, you can hear the phrasing and you can identify with this duet of basses, but it's really something special when you open the microscope and look at what's going on. It took a long time to do it, and I think it just really brings out the complexity and the beauty of all the work put into it.
And there is no singer, no vocalist who comes to break all that, and with his voice we can appreciate, enjoy the music.
I think
only
the
music and no vocals, no vocals.
I think the basses are the vocalists here. The basses are the ones actually doing the singing.
Also, now 2 questions, hard questions, guys. What are your 2 favorite songs in the album? Because for me, I need to listen again. It's very rich. I discover new things, new elements. But you have more background. So what are your 2 favorite songs, and why?
They're difficult, but I think Sarab is one of my favorite pieces. Together with Moksha. What I like about the pieces is the extreme dynamics. And so you go from heavy to fusion to jazz, and Sarab is a good sample, composed by Jennings, by E. Most important is that those pieces reflect already what we had in mind. So not necessarily playing ethnic music, but like the Moorish scales, the like a little bit that heaviness, that you know, like sometimes unisono, sometimes melodic, sometimes harmonic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those songs reflect very well what we had in our minds in the past.
Okay, so Sarab and
Moksha.
Moksha. Yeah, it opens the album. Okay, and you, Steve, please.
Two favorite songs. I don't know. I'd say the first one and the last one. The reason is the first one opens the book and the last one closes it.
Eidolon. Yeah, the last one. Eidolon.
No, it's really hard. I think it's hard to pick something out specifically because we put the maximum amount of variety and dynamics in each song. But there's specific moments. I think that's what Jeroen was latching onto. You know, like in Gardis, there's some of this kind of Moorish mixed with metal vibe, and we really look at each other and just start laughing when we hear this part because it came out so monstrous and epic. And there's pieces in Eidolon and Sarab and Moksha where there's these very melodic, almost peaceful passages, interludes between all the crazy technical complexity. That kind of stuff I seem to favor listening to in our band because you have a song like Adiasa, which is just relentless, brain twisting, you know, just machinery going on, and it's really taxing on the brain. It's fun. It was definitely a very, very fun song for us because it was to the limit of how much craziness you could put in a song. But when you have these moments, you know, like I said, in Moksha, Sarab, Gardis, Eidolon, where it just opens up and becomes this, you know, very peaceful melodic phrase. I really enjoyed doing that because it seems like my career doesn't have enough of that. So being in the company of these really, really great musicians with these awesome ears, it was such a treat to play this type of stuff. But yeah, it's impossible to really pick favorite songs. I do believe me and Jeroen probably can agree that Apophis is our least favorite, and that's because we wrestled with that song for a whole day doing the video in Germany. But
are you going to play the whole album live? It's a challenge. Tetradom, are you going
to play?
Yeah,
of course we are. We're going to play it note for note, perfect. No, I don't think we're going to.
It depends. No. I think from here, what we would love to do next is first go for a next album.
Oh,
like the second album.
Already composed, maybe?
No, we are about kicking off with new material. I mean, this is so we are doing. This is all the promotion stage, and as soon as this is behind us, then I would like to kick off with exchanging rough ideas with each other and just to see like where can we go for the next album. But I think it's also great to mention that we have this momentum. We are on distance, but we have the team complete. We have we have a really good democratic vibe in the band. You know, like everybody has his voice, and I think it's like maybe better. And with that material of 2 albums, we could consider to go live.
A second one on Agonia Records too.
Sorry.
We hope so.
On Agonia, Records also. Okay. It depends on the first reactions of Tetradom, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
And Tetradom, it means I didn't speak about that. Quadvium, quattro. I tried to translate. And Tetradom, it's a piece. It's an element with 4 pieces. Because you are 4 in the band, that's why you choose Quadvium and after Tetradom album name.
Well, Quadvium is actually related. It's related to Quadrivium, right, Steve?
Okay, Quadrivium.
Yeah, I mean the band name is derived from the old the academic term of Quadrivium, and I think the album title came probably last out of all the song titles and everything, and I think it just sums up. You know, it's kind of like the title of the book with each song being a chapter. So a tetrad is a 4-element chemistry. Yeah, and so that kind of loosely symbolizes the 4 of us coming together and creating this work. And Tetradom is an imaginary, you know, place where this all exists.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not super deep concepts in this. We really like to leave it open for interpretation, and there's ideas where it came from, of course, and that's what I explained. But I think we like to hear your interpretation of it better. It's instrumental music, so we're not really attached to any strong themes. We just like the music, and just like turn up the fucking bass.
Okay, and now two short questions. I have so many questions, you can imagine. But do you have what can you say? Can you advise to people who want to learn bass because it's very complex? Your music is complex and not for easy listening. But it can open a lot of things and to discover what you made in the past, etc. But do you have an advice for young or people older like me if they want to start bass, and why they have to choose bass and not guitar, or maybe both? But,
yeah, I think it's studying music is a trip, but I think most important is to have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
if you lose the fun in it, then it becomes maybe more turned into stress. Or it's really important to have the fun factor. But I think it's in general, it's always good when people when they are adventurous, when they play bass, but they would like to go in certain directions. When you play for your hobby, for your fun, the great thing of that is that you have a lot of space and time to make choices. You're not stuck to one band to make your money with, but like you can literally go for a second instrument and learn more about chords or like it depends on what you want. But I think it's important to be aware of the freedom that you have if you start playing music, because basically the whole spectrum is open and you can make so many choices, or when you're curious for things. So I think that's a very important thing, no matter what age you are.
Yeah, but some people can't go to school, to Berkeley school, and some people just can't buy music lessons, and people just go on YouTube and look a lot of tutorials, but some good, some are good, some ones are bad. So it's difficult sometimes if you want to learn by yourself. So Steve, maybe. What do you think about this method, and what can advise people?
I mean, you're pointing out how people can resource things, and obviously everybody comes from a different part of life, and sometimes YouTube is their only resource, and that's fine. But it's the same thing, I think, from the highest conservatory, university, all the way down to just watching and learning, whether it be YouTube or your next door neighbor's band. I think I would really stress and advise young players or new players to learn what you can by emulating and taking these instructions and lessons to make yourself better, but always seek to be different somehow. Find your own voice on your instrument. I think that's the one thing that bonded me and Jeroen when we were younger, because when this extreme metal thing was pretty young, a lot of bands tried to sound very different, and that was a cool thing. But as the years went, it started getting more homogenous, and bands started to sound similar, players started to sound similar. And I think when you're a player who's striving to be different and have an independent voice, you really get the attention. Your ears find these other players that are doing the same thing. And I think me and Jeroen realized that on both sides of the ocean, that we're players that are completely unique in our field. And that's what kind of bonded us to each other. Just this desire to play completely different. It doesn't have to be the best. It doesn't have to be the fastest. It's just really, really unique, and that's what made us become fans of each other's playing. And that's what, cemented our friendship. And I think it carried on to this album because we're playing together in the same band, both bass guitars, which is a rare thing to have together, yet we're both playing our complete unique styles, and they meld together good. We're playing with our our tones that we've developed over the years and our signature sounds, and they blend together very well. And that is a very big reward for us. That's what we're most proud of. Some of the technical passages in the song are very difficult, and it's you know, it's pretty super to pull off this amazing stuff and have everybody, ooh, look at that. That's cool and everything, but the body of the work of us being these unique players and making it work together was our biggest reward. And that's what I think young players can find in this huge sea of unoriginality, all these bands that sound the same and players that are doing the same thing, to just look for something that's unique to yourself and develop that. And that will become your identity, and that's what you're known for. And I think it's a little bit more rewarding than just being able to do all these, you know, super tricks and everything. You know, that's definitely a cool step along the way. I don't discourage that, but I don't think it should be the entire focus of a player's development.
Okay. You have other interview, I guess. You have other interview. Can I ask you a last question, or it's all? You have other interview?
Sure. You got one more? Sure.
Alors, so quickly, Steve, what's the news about DTA, Tribute to Death? Death to All.
Oh, we're planning a US-Canada run in November, and I think we're going to go to South America in January.
And Europe. But the last time I saw you live, it was DTA a few years ago in Motoculture Festival in France.
Yeah, I don't know. We need some help to get to Europe. I don't know. The band's been wanting to return and play, but but for some reasons we have a hard time getting to Europe. So we need some help. We need everybody to scream loud
America,
for us.
DTA, okay. And now, very short question, but hard question. And after I'll let you. So Quadvium available on end of May on Agonia Records, Tetradom album. But very last question. Everyone, Jeroen, what, according to you, what are the good and the bad aspects of Steve when he plays bass? What are the qualities and defects? And the same for Steve, according to Steve, what are the good and the bad towards the Jeroen? What you like and what you dislike on your studio or when you compose, or what?
No. I think we are in general, we have been working very well together. We are very different how we sound and how we play.
Yeah.
But we have such a solid friendship, and I think our friendship also grew during the years because of this very intensive, collaboration. And no, I think we are very different players, but there's nothing it's more difficult, or it's more like, I think playing fretless is also such a personal thing that makes you sound in a certain way. And I really appreciate it that it sounds different than my playing, because that's why the album actually works.
Yeah.
It's two different basses who sound different.
Complementary.
Exactly. So there's nothing annoying about Steve.
Are you manly?
Jeroen is trying to be diplomatic and avoid couples therapy after this, I guess.
Okay.
It's easy for me to answer it. I could tell you easily.
Yeah,
the best thing about his playing is he's the best bass player in the world, and he makes me better when I play near him. The worst thing is he has an overdeveloped ear. My ear is shit. I don't. My intonation is nothing compared to him. So he's got that. But when you're trying to match these two fretless tones, it's really difficult because you need to go higher. No, a little higher. Wait, a little higher. Higher still. Fuck, too sharp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can imagine in studio. Okay, but thank you very much for your answer. And I will put the links of the two singles. And thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And very, very good album. I like it very much. It remembers me a lot of scenic stuff a bit, but it's very rich album. So I invite all people to listen this fantastic album. It's a recreation in metal music for me because no singer. And I like the singers, but sometimes I say, oh no, what is the singing? No, the solo, continue the solo on drums, on guitar, and bass. And that's the occasion to put forward your own instruments and your talent. That's all.
Thank you so much, Fred. Thank you very much for spreading the word and doing the effort to contact us. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jeroen. Thank you, Steve. And take care. And I hope to see you live once again. And with Quadvium now. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks so much for the attention. We'll see you on the road, whether it's Tetradom, Quadvium, whatever. You come to the show and we'll say hi. All right.
Okay. Yeah. I hope. In France. Bye-bye. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much,
brother.